You say something about cigarettes?
No, and then like cigarettes and things like that, it can still alter people's behaviour. Like it just depends on how, like, because my dad, when he gave up smoking,
oh, the lacking of it, yes.
But even like while there's smoking and stuff, it's not quite the same. But once you've been, like, if you have that strong addiction, like my dad, when he decided to stop smoking, he just put his last cigarette out, and he's never touched one since, and he's never been tempted since. But one of my brothers and his wife, they're just the biggest, like every week they're giving up smoking. Every single week, and it doesn't work for them, and they just both become horrible people to be around, and even when they're smoking and stuff, like they just become, I don't know, I think it's been so long and they're just so addicted to it that it just has that effect. Like I think anything as an addiction, nothing's easier to break or anything like that. Nothing has any less of an effect. If you're addicted, you have that same behaviour. Like it might be expressed slightly differently, but
depends on why you're addicted. Some people will have a chemical predisposition to addiction for alcohol or smoke and stuff like that. Some people will take up substance abuse because of an emotional reason. So abuse as a child or something like that. And so people come in and try to deal with the alcohol and the drugs without actually dealing with the underlying reason. You don't deal with the underlying reason, this is just going to replace it with something else. You know, you quit smoking dope and you take up alcohol because it's a softer drug, but then you get drunk even more. Come move. So and it, like what I meant by what I was saying is that most people, like if they're just in a normal pattern of smoking or drinking coffee without quitting, not going to be, it's not going to alter their behaviour in the same way something like alcohol or the illegal drugs do. Because you get drunk and then you get violent, whereas someone lights up a smoke and that's not the same. But having said that, there's cases for different cases for everyone. Ben?
Yeah, I've sort of seen this behaviour in Nelson's back. I went up there like a couple of weeks ago and I saw these parents, like they were heavy smokers and they were just abusing the kids.
Yeah.
Like they're saying, oh yeah, if you need all that, the kids.
There's sometimes you've got to pick though whether the one is the cause of the other or if they've got a common cause. So for example, I was looking at.
It's still recording, by the way.
I know. I was thinking about the families of when I was at Penrith. And this area that we lived in there's a lot of housing commission, a lot of single parent families. Well, you know, two parents, but daddy's away in jail for the moment. You know, he'll be back soon. Seriously. And there's this one time, this really got me, I was really upset about this. This one time, one of the mums, who's like on the PNC and everything, they knew that this excursion was coming up. And the excursion was a reward for kids who've not gotten discipline in the term. So if you get a white slip or because it's pink, you know, a white slip or a red, whatever. If you got that, you couldn't go on the excursion. Excursion was $10, right? Mother on the PNC sees a kid come out. Have you got a white slip? And he goes, no. Damn. You're not going to pay for your excursion. It's like, what were you going to do with that $10? Right. There's bad parenting as well as and evil personalities as well as addiction. They often go hand in hand, and one can lead to the other. It's sorry, I'm coming to you. You need a license to drive a car and to fly a plane and buy a gun, but for some reason anyone can have kids. Jing.
Is the reason that we shouldn't get drunk and stuff, and any kind of addiction, purely for the wisdom purpose or our physical purpose of not getting damaged? Or
No. Paul says, don't get drunk with wine, but be filled with the Spirit. And there's some other scriptures that say don't get drunk. So not getting drunk is a good thing to remain sober. Because being filled with the Spirit, being filled with the spirit of self-control, and being filled with alcoholic spirits is to be out of control. You're actually fighting against the work of the Holy Spirit when you get drunk or get stoned. And it's illegal to get stoned, and it's illegal for most people in this room to have any alcohol. So, you know, as well as physiologically, it's a bad idea as well. Yes, you.
Just come back to what I said last time. It's if they don't. A lot of people, if they don't know or they don't believe there's a God, just doesn't make sense. And a lot of time, a good example is it's like having a jigsaw puzzle and having one single empty jigsaw puzzle, and only the shape of God can fit into it, but you try to fill it with everything else. A quick example is reading anime. A lot of people does it. Yeah. The Japanese culture. This is actually true. One of my good friends actually told me this recently because we're going to Japan. They actually named a subpopulation who are young generations, kids like teenagers, stay at home and read manga all day. That's it. That's all they do. And that I can't remember. There's a special word for it. But what they actually worry about is the Japanese population is not going too well, and that subpopulation is actually growing. Look, from what we can see, like if we look at it, it's like they try to find something to fulfill, and the reality is not enough. So they try to look for fantasy. You can gain such a second life, which is basically a reality life.
Like Inception.
Yeah, like it's that type of thing, and I think ultimately it's people just try to fulfill, and if it's not God, you just. This is when I wasn't a Christian. When I used to drink alcohol and stuff like that, afterwards you just feel empty. Instead of going, okay, that's not right, you just go back and try to fill it in again. But that was disturbing.
So, no, but I guess I'm going to change the plan to that. Okay. The whole point is, yeah, you're right. You're right that if you've got a God-shaped hole in your heart, and only God's. Can you wait till later to do all that? I know, everyone's doing it. You and Sarah, I know. Only God's going to fill that hole. But what about Christians?
Yeah, it's like
Christians still go on doing it.
Well, I go back to Romans.
Hang on, got a mate who, as a Christian, was getting stoned. Like he's getting bent on weed. Now he's gotten off that.
Romans 8 though, like for those who do not know, because everyone's under the
What I'm saying is that it's more complex than saying. I know that's not what you're saying. I know that you're saying more than this, but it is more complex than saying that we have got a God-shaped hole. And people shove alcohol and sex and drugs and job and all that sort of stuff into that. Right? I know you're saying more than that, but you need to specify it because I've seen Christians chase the house. I've seen Christians get completely wasted. I've seen Christians leave their wife and kids and hook up with someone else. I've seen ministers do it. So, it's not, there's more going on than just the God-shaped hole.